Hey guys, welcome to Ask Your Injectors! Woo!
What's up, everyone? It's your host, Jen, and we're here to spill the tea and throw some shade. Let's get into it. So everyone, thank you for tuning in today because I am with a very special guest. Her name is Shannon, and she works very closely with me in the Ancaster location at Monaco. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi guys, thank you for having me on.
So Shannon, we're going to do a couple different segments on you to just get to learn more about you and what you're about and what you specialize in, what you love to do, what you hate.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it.
So I wanted to ask you, are you in a relationship?
So it's kind of complicated. Like, I'm not single, but I'm not dating yet, if that kind of makes sense.
So if you're not single and you're not dating, does that mean you can see multiple people at once?
For myself, absolutely not, because my loyalty stands with someone. Despite me not being in a relationship, like, I don't feel comfortable just because I treat people the way that I want to be treated and have that similar respect. So, no.
Could you ever be in a polyamorous relationship?
Absolutely not. I'm super jealous on myself, like with other people. I don't think I would be able to handle that type of relationship. Props to everyone else that can do that. But just with myself, I know I'd get super jealous, and that's just not for me, unfortunately. But yeah.
So how do you find being single? Because you were single previously and not too long ago.
Yeah.
What's the single dating world like? I've been out of it for like 12 years now, so I don't even know what's out there.
Dating right now, or being single, is actually kind of chaotic. Definitely not what I expected prior to me being single or in the relationship. I just feel like there's everyone getting thrown at you, like left, right, and center. And I just feel like dating in this society now is kind of trash, and like being single is kind of trash in my opinion, but as long as you find the right person that you mesh with, have that respect, communication, effort, like you're all hunky-dory kind of thing. But being single is super chaotic. It really depends on what you're looking for out there, but if you're just kind of doing your own thing, working on yourself and your future, then just do your own thing. I don't know.
Yeah, so just focus on yourself is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
Well, you mentioned trash, and I'm curious to know what that even means. Like not good quality, or values are different. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely quality. I just find that everyone's just in it for the wrong reasons now. I just find that everyone's pretty disposable. Just because with all the dating apps and everything, like you're literally just swiping left or right, and it's right in front of you, and you can just see how many people are kind of interested in you. And a lot of people are just more so in it for sexual relations rather than trying to build something or like have a future with someone else. And I just find there's just a lot of disrespectful, I shouldn't say men, but people out there, and just not the same values or anything. And it's just, I just find it's very difficult. That's just my opinion.
So more for like immediate gratification.
Exactly. Quick satisfaction. Yeah.
Now, if you were to rate the top 3 dating sites that you find most effective in finding better quality relationships, where would that be?
Personally, I don't like dating apps. Like I've only been on,
Bumble?
Bumble? No, not Bumble. Hinge. Okay. So I was only on that for 3 or 4 days, and I just got rid of it just because that's not how I like to meet people or kind of get to know someone. But I know a bunch of people that met their significant other on dating apps, and they're honestly meant for each other. They're so perfect. So it really just depends on the individual and themselves if that's kind of your vibe, I guess, but it's just not it for me, I would say. I just like meeting people when it's meant to be, and I just don't like forcing relationships or anything like that, and that's kind of how I feel on dating apps. And also, I just don't like, it's not natural kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like organic in a real relationship for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So what's your boyfriend's background? Like ethnicity-wise?
Ethnicity-wise, his dad is Nigerian and his mom is British and Irish. So he's mixed.
So he's mixed. Yeah. Do you find being in an interracial couple, you still get judgment?
Absolutely. Well, not now, but with my previous ex back in college days, oh my God, we're at a walking clinic. And so he's I don't know how to say, like African American black. I don't know what the proper way is to
Black
say.
American.
Yeah. So he is he's Sudanese, and we're sitting at the walk-in clinic and we're minding our own business, and all of a sudden there's a girl sitting across from us and she had her flash on. She took a picture of us. We're like, what the fuck? Like, we never experienced, like, what the why hell? Does it matter if he's Black and I'm Asian? Like, as long as we're, I don't want to say happy, but like, as long as we're, I guess happy, but I wasn't happy with him, but as long as we're comfortable with each other, but it shouldn't really matter what other people's opinions are of you guys. As long as you guys are content with each other and have that foundation and respect, then who cares what other people perceive you guys as. But I can say it was very difficult back then. We would get a lot of looks and, like I was saying, people taking pictures of us. But it is what it is. That's just life. There's always going to be people that think otherwise, and like racism and stuff like that. So brush it off kind of thing. I mean,
because I for me, even like being in a relationship where someone is significantly older and also not of the same background, I think it's more the age that we get judged on, but I really don't know. I don't really see it as much anymore, especially now that we have kids and I am a bit older. But I definitely sensed it myself in the negative judgment. Usually I just ignore it. Sometimes I call it out because it is quite liberating.
And it But
then you get like angry at the same time. I'm like, I don't even know if that like helps, but like you just want to let it out.
Yeah, for sure. Because if it's an ongoing thing, you're bottling up all these emotions and you can't grasp the concept as to like, why is this even a thing with other people? Like, as long as we're happy, like it shouldn't matter like what our ethnicity is and like our age gap or anything like that, right? Like, I don't know. Absolutely. Everyone's always going to have opinions, but as long as you're content with yourself and happy, then who gives a shit, pretty much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, if you could give us some advice on how to spice up our relationship and keep things exciting, what would they look like? And it could be anything.
Definitely spice things up in the bed. If there's nothing, like if you want to try something, communicate with them. As long as there's that trust and respect for one another, you're going to be fine. Go to the sex shop, grab some butt plugs or anal beads or stuff like that.
Oh, I like it.
I don't like butt stuff at all. But I mean, like, you never know if you will or not. You got to try it.
It's okay. No one needs to know except anyone who's listening to this. You know?
Travel with one another. Go out of the province or the country because I feel like you won't know if the relationship is meant to be unless you guys travel, because I always hear it's gonna make or break your guys' relationship. So always spice things up about traveling, trying new things, and there's also different hobbies. So I'm trying to get my significant other to go snowboarding with me, and I know he's not a winter guy, but I feel like him trying will kind of have like a stronger relationship, because now I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, like you can teach him something. He steps out of his comfort zone. He grows with you. You try new things together.
Absolutely.
Also, I really think that you start to like winter more when you do snowboard. If he doesn't want to go, I'll go with you.
Yeah, please do. I need someone.
I'll go. I mean, I'm pregnant, but it's whatever. It's fine. So did you guys date through COVID?
Yes, we did.
And do you guys live together or?
No, so we were living apart. He's living with his mom, and then I was living with my two girlfriends.
Okay. And did you find your relationship changed during COVID?
Absolutely. Just because despite we having comfort in our own home and doing our normal routine, there really wasn't much for us to explore. And we just became very stagnant. And there really wasn't much for us to explore, to do, or anything like that. I feel like what I just did was very redundant. But like what we're going back on, we weren't able to really spice things up and try new things. But also at the same time, we kind of became stronger from that, because we were able to do things on our own terms and try to find things that we do enjoy without having to kind of go out, I guess. Like going hiking, hanging out with other friend groups. I don't know.
Yeah, so it was like more time to really focus on each other, and then it made you stronger. But I know for some people you realize that you're not like for each other,
absolutely,
and then it's the opposite. But at least it's a way of finding yourself and what makes you happy, right? Yeah. So what does make you happy?
In life or in relationships?
Yeah, because I know you said you worry at night about not being happy.
For sure.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy is having a good relationship with my coworkers, my bosses, my family, and my significant other. Because I find if you're not happy or have a good relationship and have a strong foundation in your own life, I find that you can kind of, I don't really know how to put it into words, but you can it shows that you're not happy. And if things aren't stable in your own life or in your home or anything like that, that kind of relates onto your work and as well as your own mental health kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I can definitely tell when I see someone coming in, and you can just feel it in their energy, right? And even if you were a client or a coworker, would be able to tell for sure.
And you're not 100% when you're at work. You're not able to kind of be your own natural self when you're communicating with coworkers or even clients and even your friendships as well. So as long as you have those relationships, the strong foundations, and that you can communicate as to what's going on in your personal life, I feel like that makes a huge impact on your day-to-day life as well.
So Shan, what do you think your 5-year goal is, like in all honesty, about what you want to do that makes you happy?
Yeah, so to be fully transparent is to grow with Monaco and to become established with Monaco. So wherever that takes me in the 5 years, but also to stay with Monaco until the nail's in the coffin, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a great answer. So here, what kind of like roles would you want to do? Because outside of servicing, which is a huge part of what we do, is there any other additional like actual tasks that you want to take on in the company?
So like you were saying that your parents are an entrepreneur, they build up from pretty much nowhere to having community store. That's the same thing as my parents and seeing them own their own business. So managing a clinic pretty much, I think on the side of injecting as well, I think that's kind of something that sparks my interest, and that has been ever since I started Monaco. But obviously that's down the line once I become a little bit more established with Monaco.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to really get to know a company if you want to work with them long term or add additional roles. I think that's really important to know, that you can work with the people that you're around regularly, because when you work with people in management roles, you actually get to know them a little bit more, I guess, on an intimate level. And there's a lot of problem solving and conflict management, and you take on a lot of those different roles that maybe you don't always know are there when you're service providing. Because you're so focused on that. Yes. That takes away so much of your time, right? And we don't see the
things that happen on the back end of everything, and it can be very chaotic. So that's why definitely down the line. And then obviously like kind of taking on other roles that I can help you with, try and kind of take the ease off of you. Because you manage 5 clinics, right? Like that's super chaotic. And
I have a lot of help, which is I'm very thankful of. But you understand each role intimately, so you learn to appreciate those people in other aspects. We have had, I talk about, we have had owners before in other locations. And the one thing I learned from having partnerships is that, you're essentially marrying that person.
Yeah.
So you do go through and share assets. You build something together. You build accounts together and wealth together, hopefully. But at the same time, you need to make sure, and this is advice to anyone starting a business with somebody, is that your patterns of spending are the same. That you both believe and share the same values, just like parents, like fostering a baby, that you believe in like the type of machines to buy or when to withdraw dividends, or what your exit plan looks like for each other. You actually get life insurance on each other.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of different things that go into it. And you have to be very clear cut on your roles. The biggest challenge sometimes when we have partnered with service providers is if they don't have a business background, they don't fully understand a back end role. Right. Because even for myself, when Owen and I started our business, I was only service providing. I did not do business. I did not even know there was a back end. I didn't do inventory, like nothing. And I look back in shock, and I'm like, how did I do that? And like, it was just sloppy, right? But then I didn't appreciate Owen's role in the business because I didn't really understand
how much really came with it.
I was like, you don't do anything. I'm literally seeing clients from morning till night and charting and like, making the orders and whatever. And then, so I didn't understand it. But then when I had a team that I had to support, where I wasn't even with you all day because you service provide, you see the clients, you build those relationships because you're the face and the representation of Monaco. I'm like, how do I support and what do I need to do? So I realized a lot does happen. And when we had an admin team, I realized that even more because there were more tasks they could take on to better run the clinic. Yeah. So, like there's like, you can really give 110% in a business, but you could give 2% and still say you have a business. Right. That's the only thing, right? So, and outsiders wouldn't know how well it's run, but you do. And the only way businesses are objectively defined as successful is through your financials. Oh, yeah. So you can see growth. You can, and I'm not like an in-depth accountant, but you can see the success is only measured through numbers, unfortunately. And it shouldn't always be about money, but it shows you that people want to come back and see you. People value your services. So indirectly, those numbers are a way of showing solid evidence that you are doing you are running the business correctly. And so, I don't even know where I was going with this, but pretty much there's a lot of roles that need to be appreciated on both ends if you are to bring people into a high level where there are shareholders involved in a corporation.
Absolutely, for sure.
But that being said, even having management staff is extremely important too, to make sure that they understand your role and what you can do to help them. Because in the end, resentment can build when someone feels like someone else is doing most of the job, and that's usually 90% of the time that happens, which is unfortunate, and it can be terrifying. But in my experience, like partnerships do work well. A lot of them don't, though. And I think a lot of business owners are very hot-headed, very stubborn, very aggressive in their style of communication and in business, because they don't have a lot of patience anymore. Because I think they do have to wear all hats. And I think that was the struggle. But I've definitely learned a lot. I remember meeting other women that were in business. I don't know if you've ever met like women, even not in our sector, and they're very intimidating as hell. And they're like middle-aged women, been through it all, like had their kids, like fucking straight up, like they don't like sugarcoat anything. You're like,
so blunt.
They're so blunt, and you're just like, man, like that woman scares me, but I'll listen and do whatever she wants me to do. Like that, I felt so intimidated. And I was like, I think now I understand why they're the way they are. They don't intimidate me as much, but I'm like, it's because they've been through so much that they just don't have time to like
sugarcoat anything.
Exactly.
They're straightforward.
I think it's because they've been like, you get hard from business.
No, absolutely. Because I find like owning your own business, there's a lot of people that end up crossing you, right? So then there's that lack of patience, like you were saying, and you just got to find the right people too, and that have the same morals as you as well.
And I think it's good that you mentioned that there are a lot of people in business that end up crossing you. And I think it's because the more people you deal with, the higher the chance, and this is like clients too, the more people you see, the more chance of an adverse event happening, right? It's just numbers game. And as you grow your company, you do need help. You cannot do it on your own, and you cannot do it well on your own. And I have accepted that. And you cannot be the only one in the limelight. You have to share that because it's your team. Like you need to put them ahead of you. And so I don't know where I was going with this again. I was like, I think it's the baby brain. But what was the question?
I think it was it where do I see myself in 5 years?
Yeah, and then it went off like 20 minutes on a tangent. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
This is why
good.
like no one interviews. I just blah, 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 blah. Okay, what was the question? Yeah. So anyways, do you have any medical questions for me?
What's your least favorite area to inject?
Oh, yeah. That's
there's one.
A difficult one because I can
or servicing, like your least favorite like treatment to service. Yeah.
Okay, probably the services I don't do anymore. But I used to do laser hair removal, and the only reason I dislike it a lot is because I used to have this really small handpiece on one of our lasers that I would use for full body. So it was monotonous because you don't see the results right away because you have to wait, and it took a very long time. That was the only thing. But otherwise, like in terms of like the services I like to offer, I like to do combination therapy where you can see a quicker result faster. So like, for example, Monaco Glow Up, I really like that because you can do full face rejuvenation, see an enhancement. The face is balanced. You're not just focusing on one area, and you're addressing multiple zones and then creating that treatment plan. I think I really like that, and it excites me knowing that someone is going to see enhanced results immediately within the near future, and they're going to come back and actually maintain it. They're going to invest, and they're going to follow the advice that you give them. And so that's like really, really rewarding, satisfying to see, and then also enhances like client satisfaction. So what about you? What's the least favorite area you have?
I really like doing jawline filler, but I also hate it at the same time because you have to go so deep. I've been seeing all these horror TikToks the horror TikToks where they place it too superficially, or if there's too much tissue, and when they're animating, you can see it move. So let's say if a client comes in with a little bit more fuller face, you have to be realistic with the amount of syringes.
Oh, it's like when they open their mouth, there's that ring thing. I always wondered if that was a filter because I've actually never seen it in real life.
So I think that wherever they went, they place it too superficially so that they can see that definition with a smaller amount of filler, if that kind of makes sense. I've seen it on 3 different occasions. I'm like, what the heck? So obviously you need to go in deep so that you're not seeing it when you're animating, and also to get that definition right. So it does take a little bit more, but I just also find that if you're not maintaining it, it can kind of balloon out and not have that definition later on.
Oh, you have like a wider set jawline.
Yeah.
I think like you can even do, so if someone wants a jaw slimming effect into contour, you could do like the Dysport. And then you do the Nefertiti lift underneath. But then also like with that filler, you are lacing it on the mandible, but you're right. You don't want to go too deep, but sometimes if you go too deep, sometimes you don't get that real contour effect. So I like to stay deep dermis, and I use a cannula, and I'm going across like superficial here to help. But like honestly, like knock on wood, I don't typically see that weird thing where you open your mouth. And I've been doing
like gills. I'm like, what the
heck? I've been doing it for like 10 years. I've used Radius, high viscosity, hyaluronic acid, and I've had like no issues with it. And the beauty of it is like it dissolves, but Radius is taught to be injected at a deeper plane anyway. So, and in smaller quantities. So that's what I do. And then even if I am injecting a bolus on the gonial angle back here, it is well defined. And it doesn't really project up as much. So at first I thought it was a filter because I was like, there's no way, like I never see that. But I guess anything's possible. It's just like going really superficial is really uncomfortable for the client. There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of like fascia that you're getting through. So yeah, like I agree. Don't go too superficial, but you can stay in a medium depth plane or right on bone, and it should be okay.